Let's see who is, usually people will start commenting up here,
Mm.
and thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Bobby Legs, for having me.
let so let's talk about watches. Let's while the people start coming up here, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing a Gorilla Fastback Elise, Drift Elise.
That is I love that watch, man.
Thank you.
Now, did I read this correctly or hear this correctly? Did the like a watchmaker from Audemars Piguet, did he leave the company and start? Is that who started
A
Gorilla?
couple guys from Audemars
AP?
Piguet started Gorilla. I don't know if they were watchmakers or designers there, but it was a
Uh-huh.
couple AP guys who went and started Gorilla. And they make sort of sporty muscle car inspired watches at price points. Most of them are around $1,000, and cool colors, a lot of cool case construction, different materials like ceramic and forged carbon, anodized aluminum, those kinds of things.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
This was one that I don't know. I think it's an acquired taste. My kids, my teenagers thought it was the ugliest watch in existence, but now it's growing on them and they think it's pretty cool.
Well, I think what's cool about it is that, I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it. There's nothing quite like it. And I've seen your collection. You just did a recent state of the collection review, and it just stands out. And it works in your collection because it does stand out, you know?
Yeah, I have a lot of sort of like pretty, sort of dressy watches, slightly sporty, but maybe more dressy. And then this one definitely adds some balance to my collection.
Yeah, it totally does. And I love the your Moser. It's one of my favorite brands, and I aspire to get one of those one day. And you have, your Datejust. You got your Panerai. You really have a really great mix, I think, real rounded collection, and
Thank you.
I'm a big fan.
I love your collection too, and I think we're two of the only I think GP owners on YouTube right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and your Panerai is a base Panerai, a lot like my Panerai too.
Yeah. Well, what's
Which I
interesting
like a
about
lot.
what's interesting about the Panerai is that I had hey Mike, how you doing? Tennessee Mike is joining us today. What's interesting about that Panerai is that I actually knew a couple guys who were watchmakers for Panerai at the time, back in 2005, 2006. And it just happened that I lived in the same building as one of them. And he had another friend that was lived down the block, and they both worked for Richemont, but they worked on Panerais and Cartiers. So the one guy had a Pasha, the other guy had a Panerai, and I just like when I saw the Panerai, I was like, oh my God, that just like totally blew my mind away. I
Yeah,
never seen anything like that at the time. And I wasn't like a watch expert by any means. I just had never seen anything like that.
definitely. Yeah, mine was a gift, but I totally love it, and it's so simple. It's so it's different. You can put any kind of strap on it. You can see why Panerai people are like strap crazy,
Absolutely.
because it's so easy to change the straps, and every strap works on those watches.
Yeah.
And I think it was, that was a time before the in-house movement craze, and everything was, a lot of it was about the design and functionality,
Hmm.
and not kind of every nitpick about the movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I had toyed with the idea a few months ago of, I'm in this collecting German watches kick. I have a Zen. I'm trying to find like more obscure German brands, but a few months back, I had the thought of getting another Panerai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would you? And then I quickly pulled back. I don't know why. I don't know why I pulled back from it. Um, Maybe because there's a lot of similar. I mean, they all kind of look alike, especially the Luminors, and that's the one I really, really like. Do I need another Panerai? Do I want to have more brand diversity? Are you opposed to brand diversity, or would you consider two of the same, three of the same watches? I know you had several
Yeah.
Rolexes at one point.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of having all different brands, but I'm not married to it,
Yeah.
I have two Zelos right now. It's a
Yeah.
little easier because they're a little bit lower priced than Panerai and Rolex,
Right.
and I don't know how long I'll have two, yeah, I would consider it, and I
Hmm.
think that, like a Panerai submersible looks totally different than, your Panerai, for example.
Right.
You can see the DNA there, but
Yeah.
you could say that 2/3 of the Rolex steel sports watches look alike too, the same kind of dot pattern on the dial and some, different colors. And you know what I mean? You could say, like, AP, people say it's all Royal Oak, but you could look at a lot of Rolexes and say, hey, they look really, really similar, right? I mean,
True.
to my wife, almost all, Rolexes look alike,
Right.
but she's not a watch, crazed.
Random Rob with the little alliteration there. All brands matter. Okay, yeah. So going back to GP, I do feel like me and you are on a little island a little bit. That you know, um, the watch has been around. The brand has been around forever. I'm not really sure if there was ever a hiccup in time where they stopped making watches. Um, I don't think so, but I'm not 100%. But it seems like the only people who are talking about it is like, a guy like Federico, right? He talks about it every once in a while. He talks about how it's one of his favorite brands out there. Um, do you think it's just marketing? Like, what's
I,
going on? It's such a great
I think
brand.
some of it's marketing and some of it's probably, geographic, like maybe in Europe, it's different.
Hmm.
Um, but can I share my screen real quick here?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
All right. So I don't know if you saw this today, but can you put up that
Yep.
screen?
Yep. It
Yeah.
just came up. Yeah.
So this was on Tim also did this review today of this GP Tourbillon with 3 golden bridges. Like, this watch is just mind-blowingly
Yeah.
incredible,
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I think it got massive acclaim, amongst when it came out. This is, I don't know how many years ago, quite a few years ago when it came out, so this
Right.
is, obviously it's nothing I could ever buy, but it's a rose gold watch with a tourbillon and then these 3 golden bridges. So you can see why it's called that, right? Like,
Right.
this is just an incredible watch, and they have, they have incredible watches. So yeah, I don't know why they're not a little more popular. Maybe a lot of their watches up until now have been more dressy, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are about the steel sports watches these days. Maybe they didn't have as many of those, but I think they're awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I do like though. Yeah, it is an insane watch, Eric Enrique. You're right. I do like the Laureato, and
yeah.
it does have that um, Genta-esque look. But I've actually tried one on at a AD a year ago, and man, it's such a great looking watch. It was just a little bit not what I was really looking for at the time, a little bit out of my range, but that I could see adding to my collection down the road, down the road when
Yeah.
my kids grow up a little bit and I don't have to, not that I baby my watches, but like that it felt a little delicate. Let's put it that way. But it was still a sports watch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's a
it's an awesome
beautiful watch.
watch.
Yeah.
Totally.
So going back to Zealous, man, I was surprised. You know what I mean? Like I saw you posting up in a couple of the common Facebook
Yeah.
group that we're in, and I saw that, and I know that you're taken by the meteorite dial. But I gotta be honest, going micro,
Well, Zelos for me is, for one thing, they don't look like a lot of other watches,
that's
right?
true.
So,
Yeah.
one of the things about a lot of micros to me is that you can look at them and see it either looks just like another watch or it looks like a blend of 2 other watches,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Zelos is really kind of on their own design kick. The owner seems like a cool guy. Like, I've had to reach out to him for support. He's
Yeah.
really good. But yeah, you're right. I was sort of like, mostly with my collecting journey moving towards watches that had different movements than one another.
Yeah.
And so something with an NH35 or an ETA 28, anything, I was sort of going away from. And Zelos was a move back,
Hmm.
towards those.
Hmm.
Um, Part of it was that I got one for my son, and I'm not going to get him, in
Of
high
course.
school at this point, a tutor or something,
Right.
like expensive. So I got him one of the least expensive Zealous, and I got myself the same one.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a cool
Yeah.
experience. And then that was my introduction to the brand. And then I found out they were a really cool brand, and also, um, I always kind of wanted a meteorite dial, and they have
Yeah.
some really cool meteorite dials at a good price, with original design again. So I think overall, I'm sort of moving back away from this. Everything has to have a different movement, and realizing that the watch, design and case, and these are all like really really important parts of a watch. And Zealous was kind of a move back in that direction. That it's okay that they use these off the shelf movements. They're just really cool watches.
Cool. Hey,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Yeah. Good evening to you, Robert. Good evening. uh, hey, Desmond. So now, so you go Zelos, right? Um, what do you have anything in your radar right now?
Oh, and one more thing about Zealous.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
having a
Sure.
blast with a bronze Zealous, like
Ah.
you know, um, forcing patina,
Yeah.
removing it, forcing it a different way, removing it. That's been really cool. I always stayed away from bronze watches because I thought they all just turned that green,
Yeah.
crazy looking on their own really quick. I had no idea that it was like, quite slow unless you want to make something happen.
So what have you been doing? What have you been doing to make that happen?
Um, so I just went swimming a lot this week, and the bronze just kind of turned kind of a nice brown.
Yeah.
And then I did the lemon juice thing, which made it look like pink shiny. Then I did
Right.
put it with hard-boiled eggs in a bag, which made it turn really dark brown. Then
Uh,
I toothbrushed it with ketchup, which made it look, pink, not shiny, not quite as pink. And then I put it in with eggs again. This is a really interesting thing. The second time I put it with eggs, instead of turning dark brown, it turned this iridescent blue, red, pink, almost like
okay.
anodized, Damascus, like an oil slick kind of pattern,
Right. Right.
um, which is really cool because I did the exact same thing twice. Once it turned dark brown, the other time it turned this, psychedelic thing. So um, I'm having fun with that. And then as far as other purchases, I my main thing on my radar, there's this guy, I don't know if it's Stefan or Stefan Ketelars, and
Hmm.
he's this young Dutch guy, 25-year-old watchmaker who taught himself everything, so
Oh,
he makes gears,
yeah.
he customizes movements, he just made his first in-house movement, he makes his own, basically everything except the cases. And so I'm on his wait list to do a bespoke piece
Hmm.
at the end of next year. And so I'm
Oh,
kind of
wow.
saving my budget a little bit for that. I
Yeah.
might, get some affordables, but he's not like super crazy expensive like some of these bespoke, people. His watches range from like 3,000 um, to pretty high,
You're right.
for his in-house one. But just the idea of like, it's kind of like the micros, like getting to know the people who are in charge of making it is really appealing to me right now. So that's
Awesome.
kind of a long-term plan for me. Stefan Ketelars. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Clayton, how you doing? Yeah. So, speaking of like, these kind of like artisan watchmakers, I had my eye on, and I've actually tried on a couple of his watches because I went to a Watch Buys roadshow at the end of last year at NYC and in New York City, and Stefan Kadoki, I think I'm
Yeah.
saying his
Yeah.
name, and man, what his
Yeah.
the Kadoki one and the Kadoki two, I think they are. Man, those are out of this world.
Yeah.
Beautiful watches. That case back is just mind blowing. And that's look. I mean, that's kind of like not necessarily. I wouldn't call it a grail, but it's definitely in my radar over the next couple years. that's the kind of watch that I kind of like see myself moving towards. I'm starting to collect these German watches. I got the Zin and the Damasco, and I'm looking at Dornbluth and Zahn next. I'm looking at some other uh, German brands that we don't know about here in the States, but I really like the idea of the handmade watch.
Yeah, I
And
and that guy, Stefan Kadoki, like also one of the Facebook groups we're in, Joe Cheng bought that Kadoki 2 recently, and
mhm,
just like the way he reached out to them, exchanged correspondences with Kadoki's wife,
wow,
picked a rose dial instead of the one
yeah,
they sell on watch buys.
hmm
So in addition to the fact that you know who made it and you know who the person is whose like passion came about in that watch,
hmm
um, also being able to reach out to them, being like, hey, how about this color? Or somebody else reached out to him and like, could we do it with meteorite? And he was like, yes. You know what I mean?
it's great.
Like
It's
it's
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
incredible. With most of the watches we buy, I mean, you're lucky to get an email back from a company like because you need a screw or a strap or something.
right. So I want to switch gears a little bit, and this is something we were talking about before we went live. Um, a lot of guys here in the comments here, and hey Ben, how you doing? Um, uh, are also subscribers to Random Rob, and he did a video last night about a channel update, and he was talking about a couple of watches that he has. He calls them. I mean, I forget what he used the terminology, but I think basically the idea is that these are his Tudor 41 and his Seamaster are the core watches, and I'll pull up. I know you have it there. Um, so the core watch concept is a very interesting concept to me because I feel like, yes, I have these core watches in my collection that I would never sell, and some that I don't think I would ever sell. I didn't think I was going to sell the Zenith, but I did. But I wouldn't have considered that necessarily a core watch because it didn't have any sentimental value towards me,
Mm.
to me. Do you have what do you have core watches that will never leave your collection?
Can
And
I
some
share
that,
a
yeah,
different
go ahead.
tab here real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like I think so this Rolex date just in the corner, my mother-in-law gave that to me 20 years ago for our wedding anniversary. I mean for our engagement. So that's staying forever.
Right.
This Panerai that another family member gave me, that's staying forever. Those are purely for sentimental
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
As far as watches that are staying with me, I think forever, but I could be totally wrong. Like in terms of because I love them, I think the Moser is probably the only one. This is these are my current 12 watches,
Yeah.
and that's probably the only one I can't see myself ever letting go.
Now, Amin, now,
Yeah,
just to hit pause there for a second. I know a lot of you guys weren't necessarily at the beginning of the stream when Amin was talking about the watch he was wearing, the Gorilla. Is there a way you can pull up that picture? Because
yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people have seen this watch before, but it is absolutely wild. And maybe you can tell us a little bit how you read the time.
Yeah, so this Gorilla is um, so the company's called Gorilla, and I mentioned earlier that this couple of guys who worked at AP left and made this company, and they designed watches that are like inspired by muscle cars, American muscle cars. They partnered with Valche to add a module to at a 2824 base. To give it a wandering hours complication. So this is the minute track you see up here. So it
Yeah.
goes from 0 to 60 minutes. And at any given time, only one of these discs has one number that's pointing to that minutes track. So right now, the 6 is pointing to that minutes track. So that's how you know it's 6 o'clock. And the minutes are, this little dash here is pointing to, 02. So it's 6:02. And as time goes by, this wheel will move over to the minutes track, and this 7 will spin around so that by the time it gets to 0, it'll be pointing to the minutes track right at the time that 6 is exiting, the 60 point.
Wow.
So it's just a different way of reading the time.
Yeah.
AP was the first one to use. So this wandering hours complication's been around for centuries. And AP was the first one to put it in a watch called the Star Wheel. And then a bunch of other companies have done it. Like Irvwork is probably the most well known for it. They have these 3-dimensional, crazy looking satellite complication, which is still the wandering hours, but instead of these discs spinning, they've got these like 3-dimensional twisting forms, and it's pretty crazy. But Arnold and Son did one, Parmigiani did one, but I really like this one's really cool. It's fun to read the time in a different way.
Yeah, Random Rob, I would love to see one of those. Yeah, I would love to see one of those too in person, man. That is awesome. Now speaking of Parmigiani,
Yeah,
Parmigiani is a brand that really, really intrigues me. What really intrigues me about them, I mean, their watches are beautiful, and the guy's brilliant. What really intrigues me about them is that they lose a ton of value, right?
yeah,
And they're accessible,
yeah,
to guys like me and you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you can pick one up. You can get like a Calpa Grande XL, whatever they called, or even that crazy looking yacht master watch. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
I didn't.
No, go
Um,
ahead, go ahead. Yeah,
and
I mean, Delray sells them new. This
yeah,
I was going to show you. You seen this?
yep, I've seen it. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I
Bring them
mean,
up. Yeah.
yeah. Go on, go on. What were you gonna?
No. I mean, so it's amazing that you can get these. I've seen some of these like under $5,000.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's like watchmaking, man. That's like a great, piece of art that you could put on your wrist.
yeah. I mean, some of them are, I think, just an acquired taste.
Yeah.
This Kalpa hebdomadaire is, I think, uses the first movement Parmigiani put in his own line, and obviously this is not cheap. $22,000, but you can get watches hebdomadaire previous models in steel for, sometimes you see them for like 6,000, and the movement on this is just insane. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And so I think Parmigiani has the best finishing for the dollar by far. Like if you buy, at a good deal.
Yeah.
Just I think a lot of their designs are just not, what people are looking for.
Right. Of course.
Unless you're really looking for that, and
Yeah.
and the Kalpa, that least expensive one, is sort of like plain and people like it. But the micro rotor and the finishing on the back of that is, incredible. It's much nicer kind of hand finishing than my Moser, and for less money. I think that's a beautiful watch for a dress watch.
Absolutely. And Random Rob is, also not a bad cheese. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Rob, you asked about the materials of this. So it's the front is matte green ceramic. This second layer is anodized aluminum. This is woven carbon fiber, and then the case back and the crown are titanium, and then the buckle's titanium. So that's another thing about Gorilla, is they use really cool materials, really cool construction.
Hey, Blue Shirt, how are you? Thanks for joining us. So, we're roughly the same age. We both have, I think, a couple of kids, right? I have two. I think you have two.
I have three.
You have three. And so, but mine is my son's 3 years old and my daughter's 1.5, right? So
Yeah,
I think your kids are probably a little bit older. It's hard for a guy like me because I love dress washes. That's my favorite dress wash. I love the materials used, the complications. They're works of art, but I can't seem to get myself to cross that bridge and getting a dress watch because I'm afraid, well, when am I going to wear it? And also, if I do wear it, I got these crazy kids jumping all over me. You know what I mean? When you were starting, when your kids were younger,
yeah.
did you? First of all, were you as into watches as you were now? And if you were, what was your collection like? Was it mostly sports, or have you had the same type of taste all throughout this whole time?
No. So I have two boys in high school, and then I have a 6-year-old daughter, who's
Okay.
doing virtual kindergarten this year. So still young. I wasn't into watches when my two boys were really little. I had the one Rolex that my wife's family gave me. And I think I've always had a little bit of a collecting bug. Like at one point I collected cameras, another time I collected fountain pens.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't super into it. I got more into it when YouTube channels started coming out talking about watches, honestly, you know? So like, you know, I watch Rob's channel a lot and Bruce, but before that, I guess when I first started watching YouTube stuff, I watched Urban Gentry and not so much Archie Luxury, but I was aware of him.
Right.
And I think I formed my taste in watches like gradually. I mean, I've flipped a ton of watches and I feel like I'm just kind of figuring out what I like or what I want, you know, over time. And only in the past year, I think I've gone more dressy. But I don't care at all whether my watches are appropriate for my situation, right? So like I'll go to Target or sit in, you know, or I'll go to a gym with a perpetual calendar, you know, Ulysse Nardin. I don't give a blank, you know, at all, because I really think that it's just mostly just for us, you know, like most people don't care what you're wearing. And I like to look at the watch and appreciate it, you know? And so I can be in shorts and a t-shirt with a rose gold, you know, watch, and I don't feel stupid. I mean, I don't care, you know? And as far as, you know, I guess I do, you know, if I were doing water sports, I'm not going to wear a 30 meter, you know, water resistant watch, but otherwise I don't care.
So when you identify a watch that you want to get, and maybe this might be helpful for anybody who's, you know, watching us here, is there do you go authorized dealer? Do you go Chrono 24? Do you Jomashop? Is there something, is there a specific way that you shop for watches?
I mostly look online, you know. I've bought some things in the store. I bought a Rolex sub at an AD. I bought my Datejust at an AD. For things like my Omega, I bought that actually at I bought that from the same guy that Bruce recommended at in I think in Florida. It's an exquisite timepieces. I saw Bruce talk about it. I texted that guy, and he was really nice to work with. If it's something where I can get halfway between retail and gray market and get it from an AD, and it's an expensive watch, then I'd rather get it from an AD. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But if it's something where, you know, retail's 20,000, you know, some spot has it for 7,000, you know what I mean? And an AD's, you know, not going anywhere near that, then I'm going to buy it, you know, from wherever. As long as it's in a reliable place. Or same thing for lower prices. So I've bought a bunch of watches from Jomashop, you know, Longines, Tissot, even a Speedmaster, and a Bell and Ross. Like if the prices are way better, especially on a less expensive watch, then I'll go there. I look at Chrono 24 to gauge prices. But when I do see something, if I see something on Chrono 24, I'll also check the store directly if I can find them on the web, you know, to see if their price is lower. I don't think I've made a purchase directly through Chrono 24. I like to look at Delray, you know, Federico's store. They have good prices. This place called Radcliffe Jewelers in Maryland's got I think really great prices, you know. I bought one watch from the watch box, and I noticed that, you know, I don't want to wrinkle any feathers here, but I noticed that they I think they list prices with negotiation built in, you know what I mean? Maybe every place does, but I'm not a good negotiator, so I tend to like look for something where the asking price is what I want to pay. And I found that at Delray, and I found that at Radcliffe, but at the watch box, you know, I feel like it's built for you to make an offer that's lower.
I think you're right about that. My buddy Ryan, who I've done some YouTube episodes with, he bought his Big Pilot from the watch box, and he knows that he could have gotten a deal or a better price somewhere else, but he actually went to they're outside of Philadelphia, I think, and he just was blown away
Yeah.
by the shop, by the people that he talked with, that he felt so comfortable that he was willing to pay the extra premium because he knew that he would be taken care of,
Yeah.
and for
And
him that was worth it.
they also have a longer warranty.
Hmm.
And then they put out great content. I mean, I want to help them
Yeah,
for that too. I'm willing to pay a little more for that too, just like I'm willing to pay more for a local place because I want there to be a watch store that I can walk into. You know what I mean?
right.
You know, I want to
Absolutely.
support that. So what I don't have is like one local place that I have a great relationship with. I'm sort of envious of, you know, certain people who
Hmm.
just get to know their local AD better and better and better, and you
Yeah.
know, maybe get the in-demand watches sooner. I heard you say that your guy who got you the Blue Bay 58 or whatever we're calling it is in Puerto Rico. How did you meet him?
So I'm half Puerto Rican, and my mother was from Puerto Rico, and she came up to the States when she was young and taught and then went back down to Puerto Rico after she retired. And so I used to live down in Puerto Rico when I was younger. When my mom lived down there, I would visit her 3 or 4 times a year. She didn't live too far away from Old San Juan. Old San Juan would be a place that me and my cousins would go um, to party, right?
Hmm.
And it's just a great place to bring people to and go there and spend some time. It's cobblestone streets and whatnot, but then you have some high-end shops for the tourists who come in because there's a bay there and the boats come in, right? And so people come off the boat and they shop and then they go back to the boat, right? So since I was a little kid, this one AD was there, and I always would just stare at the watches, man, when I would walk by. And then I was there early last year in 2019, and I knew I wanted a Black Bay.
Hmm.
And this was right after. This was like about 6 months, maybe longer. No, no, a little bit longer after Hurricane Maria had hit the island. So I felt like I wanted to give my business to them.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I met the guy and in there, and he told me that there was a wait for the original Black Bay 58, and I was like, okay, well, put my name down, not thinking that he was actually taking my name down,
Yeah.
And so about 6 months later, I got a text from him, and he actually texted me the GMT, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the Black Bay. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then a couple weeks later, he was like, well, here it is. And I'm like, awesome. Thank
Wow.
you.
That's very cool.
So then fast forward to about 4 weeks ago. And I'm like, hey, buddy, remember me? He probably didn't remember me, but whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want that Blue Bay.
Yeah.
And, what can you do? And he's like, well, I'll put you on the list, and he moved me up. I threw in a little bit like, oh, look, check out my review of the original Black Bay on YouTube. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so and then I'll give you a shout out, and then sure enough, I mean, I wanted the bracelet, um but I'm fine with I have it right here on me right now. Actually, let me get the camera. But I'm fine with the soft leather strap, because I have the bracelet on the other one, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel, me personally, that this watch is a bracelet watch. I'm not necessarily a bracelet guy, but I the original with the bracelet is so great,
Mm.
and this is good too.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but I'd rather have the bracelet. So he's gonna hook me up, not hook me up with a bracelet. He's gonna procure a bracelet for me, and hopefully in a few weeks I'll have it.
Is the
Uh,
bracelet identical between the two
yeah,
watches?
yeah,
It's the
everything.
same one.
It's the same watch, right? It's the
Yeah.
same watch, except for the changes in the colorway, and no gilt. And I love it.
So you just want to
I,
have both of them on bracelet.
I just want to have both of them on bracelet,
Yeah.
and I love it. I mean, it's different enough.
Yeah.
The size is perfect. I got a 6 3/4 inch wrist. This is perfect. I've never, that original Black Bay, nothing's ever fit me as good as that.
Yeah.
And I love the look. And I could
You
wear it
asked
every
me
day.
if there's anything else I was considering, and I have always loved the Pelagos, the blue
Oh
Pelagos,
yeah.
the bright
Yeah.
blue Pelagos. So that's other than the Ketelars, 2 years from now kind of bespoke thing, the blue Pelagos is on my radar for. But I love the 58 too. Super nice
Yeah,
watches.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I could seriously collect 58s. Like if you know what I mean? Like if they come out with my buddy Ryan texted me like somebody photoshopped online like a green one, right? He's like, I don't know about this one. I'm like, take my money.
That's so
I I
funny.
I don't know why. I don't know why. But I could
Yeah, I
do
mean
another
it's
58.
it's like it's a perfect watch in a way. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any watches I would buy a series of. Can't really. The Moser Pioneer. Have you seen that? It
Oh
comes in
yeah,
green, it comes in blue. They just came out with a
yeah,
red one. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, if I were made of money, I'd probably pick up all three of those colors.
Yeah, I mean those are like paintings, man. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
they're
Like those
very
are like
simple. There's no
yeah.
date, no date. But the Fume dial. That's another reason I got the Zelos is that I've kind of had my eye on this Lagoon Blue Moser Fume concept watch. It's like out of my price range, but it's got no logo, it's got no nothing. It's just a Fume blue dial, hands and a Fume blue dial. And one of the Zelos I got has a Fume dial too. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah,
yeah.
you posted the pictures of that online. Now, Tennessee Mike, would you buy that's the
Yeah.
Omega Seamaster Professional 300 from Jomashop. This is a watch that I think Tennessee Mike has been lusting after. What do you
So
think?
I totally would if the price were dramatically better. So I got a Hesalite Speedy Pro from Jomashop at a time when an AD wouldn't even come close to the price they were, you know,
Hmm.
selling it for, and it was perfect in every way. And when I traded it into a dealer later to get a different watch, like I got the same trade-in value basically that I would have got, and I told them I bought it from Jomashop, but um, I think that the guy Nick at Exquisite Timepieces, for example, if you texted him
Hmm.
and said, "I want to, I'd love to buy an S&P 300 from you for, like I said before, halfway between Jomashop and retail or something like that."
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be higher, but to have it from an AD and have the full warranty and I think I'd go that route if it were if it were somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But if it's
Hey,
massive savings, I would totally buy it from Jomashop. What about you?
I bought some watches from Jomashop. Nothing crazy. SKXs, you know, that I've modded and whatnot. I've never think that's, let me take that back. I'm sorry. I once bought, and this is probably around 2006 or 2007 because Jomashop's been around for a while. I remember buying a Tag Heuer for a girl that I was dating from there. Um, and but all those experiences. I mean, I've never had a bad experience with Jomashop. You know what I mean? I've ordered something that was not available for 4 to 8 weeks, and then they stretched out to 8 to 12. I emailed them saying, "Take me off. Don't charge my card," and they were like, "Okay."
So
So,
around the same time that I bought the Speedy Pro from Jomashop, I bought a previous generation ceramic SMP from pre-owned from this guy who had really good feedback on Watch You Seek. So he was
mhm,
selling like tons of SMPs, there, and where he's getting them from, I don't know, but he was selling lots and lots of them, like new, and it had a scratch on the ceramic that I didn't notice until later. And I don't care about scratches usually, but on a ceramic bezel, it's kind of stands out, and I
sure, yeah,
hadn't noticed it. Um, and so that made me think like I wish I had bought it from Jomashop because the knock on Jomashop is that if it needs service, like you don't get the official, you don't get the Omega warranty, right? You get the
hmm
Jomashop
hmm
warranty, but it's going to be a brand new Omega. It's going to
right,
be genuine and it's going to be brand new, right? So unless you
yeah,
get
absolutely,
unlucky and it needs repair or service, so like that was the difference, right? The guy who sold it in the forum, he got it from an AD, so technically it had warranty, but that wasn't going to help me with my, scratch ceramic bezel.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey Dirk, what's up? Oh, what did I miss? Dirk, you actually missed Amin and I. We were going through our knife collection, and we were showing it earlier on. Dirk is a big knife guy, so that's why I said that. I don't know if you've ever seen his channel, but he's got a great. I'm not a knife guy, but I could watch his videos. He's great.
My son is a knife guy, so I'll check it out. I'll show the channel to my son too.
Yeah. Okay.
My son just made me spend just a painful amount of money on a virtual knife in a video game called CS:GO. Okay, you go around killing people with knives and guns, and I don't want to say what he spent about this. I only did it because he's been dreaming about this knife for months. Okay, but it's a butterfly knife in the game that you kill people with.
Yeah,
and it's exactly the same killing power. Like, it's not better at killing people. Like, that's what I would think you would spend this amount of money on. It's just like a colorful, cooler looking version of the same knife, and it's not a real object, obviously. And yeah, we just spent like I could have bought a watch for the amount of money we just
Jay Reyes, I've gotten a Tissot and a Hamilton from Jomashop. I mean, like I would buy a hammy from Jomashop.
Yeah.
I'd buy a hammy from Amazon,
Yeah, I've gotten several between $1,000 and $2,000 watches from Jomashop, and I've never had it. And then the Speedy was the only more expensive one I got from there. Never had a problem.
Big purchase like Mike is saving to do. I would like to see an AD purchase. Yeah. I mean, look, that is a concern, especially when you're getting up there in price. Can't fault somebody from looking at Jomashop with a strategy that Amin was pointing out with, or a little added sense of security with an AD, maybe like that more connection with a person.
I don't think I wouldn't get a watch like that big purchase again from Joma unless the price difference was huge, right?
Right.
And I don't think it is with the current SMP, like at least not what I would consider huge, right? I would buy that from an AD too.
So your Aqua Terra though, did you look at in Joma?
I did. I looked gray market for my Aqua Terra, and let's just say the price they gave me on that Aqua Terra was much closer to gray market than it was to retail, much closer. So
that's great.
So I didn't think twice about buying from retail. There are these in-between guys. Have you seen these in-between people who source it from an AD and sell them? I don't want to name any of them, but they're in all the forums, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
They source it from an AD, but they sell at gray market prices, and it comes with a card like an AD. Yeah, I just feel like that's, the price is good enough from the AD to go, with the actual AD.
Now, going back to Aqua Terra, I'm glad I remembered that. If I was going to go Omega, I think where my tastes lie now is the Aqua Terra. I love that the blue with the almost like a plank style dial. There's something about that watch, even on the rubber strap. I would even consider it on the rubber strap because I think you have yours on the rubber strap too.
The rubber was a big selling point for me, but do you want to share my screen? I'll show the one you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it pops up on my little thing here, I'll share
okay.
it.
Let me. Is this the one you're talking about?
Okay, just give me a second. Yep, add to stream. There you go. Yes, that one right there. That exact one on the right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that watch.
The rubber is a selling point for me. I mean, I'm not a bracelet guy. I end up taking everything off the bracelet. Like the sub supposedly had the best bracelet ever, and it was one of my least favorite things about that watch. The current Submariner. So I really like that. I wish more companies would put these kinds of watches on rubber, and it's a really, really high quality rubber with a deployant, really excellent deployant clasp on this too. But I think the Aqua Terra is awesome. I like this one too. This model. Yeah. On a bracelet, it would be great too. Like I said, I'm not so. I think the bracelet for the Aqua Terra is a butterfly clasp, and it doesn't have. Some people don't like that. I actually don't mind that at all.
The movement is killer.
Yeah.
It just looks great. I know it's got like 150 meters water resistance.
Yep.
and it's just a sharp look. I'm really into blue dials lately, and yeah, I love this watch. I've seen it in person, and if
It's
I was going to
really
go Omega, I would go this watch.
it's really unique. Yeah. And Bruce, it's got a lot of that Omega DNA. These markers, these hour markers are, really classic Omega. Bruce has done some nice reviews. Aqua Terra, like I like that you can jump the hour hand if you're
Hmm.
changing time zones. Um, it was the first Omega to be anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss. The
Yeah,
movement's gorgeous. Um, I'm a big fan of the Aqua Terra.
yeah, yeah. Chris from the Watch Lounge chiming in. Aqua Terra is such a versatile piece. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think one thing Omega harms themselves about a little bit is that each generation, like they change so much, I mean, the previous generation Aqua Terra with the vertical
Hmm.
teak deck and then the date at
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like I think they almost make you feel like you've been, like you're missing out if you buy it and then the next one comes out. I think that's something Rolex does a little better, is that you buy a Rolex and the next one comes out, you still feel like yours is just as cool as the next one.
absolutely. Yeah, I
And
hear you.
Omega sometimes I like the previous gen Aqua Terra too, but it's like they change so much every time.
Yeah, yeah, and what's crazy about these? So like it seems like the number of the movement, right? So like I think the one with the 3 o'clock date is like the 8600 or something, or
Yeah,
8500,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then this one is the 8900. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like, wait a second, like what do I do? What do I do?
Right,
You
right.
know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like the vertical one better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I think it's the same movement, except it's not made us certified.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I think you're right.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Okay, let's see here. I'm leaning towards a two-tone Aqua Terra for my wedding watch. Well, yours is two-tone, isn't it?
mine's two-tone. I'll throw that up real
Yeah,
quick.
absolutely.
Uh, my computer's spazzing out here. Um, this is my two-tone. Can you?
Yeah, there it is.
So it's this it's like Omega's rose gold. They call Sedna gold. It's pretty
Hmm.
red. It's like a pink. It's very pink. Um, and oh, yellow gold. Yeah, I don't know. That's another thing I don't care about. I mix metals all the time. I have a you know white metal ring, and I wear yellow gold watch anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have other. I mean, I have a white gold metal wedding band too. I don't have any um precious metal watches, but I'm agnostic with that. I mean, it depends on the watch. If one watch looks better rose gold than yellow gold, or vice versa, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have a strong preference for either one. It's just overall looks great. It
I
doesn't really
think
matter to me.
I think so. The one Pierce is talking about. Let me throw that up. I'm pretty sure I know which one. Um, is it? So they have a yellow gold two tone. Is it this one or maybe this one? I'm not sure. They got a couple. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure both of those are yellow gold. I like all the Aqua Terras. I think it's a beautiful watch.
yeah,
Really, really,
absolutely. I'm with you on
really
that. But
cool.
how's the thickness on that watch? Is it
It's I think it's a little bit a touch over 13. I want to say 13
okay?
millimeters.
Yeah, it's not a
Um,
problem.
yeah, it's not bad at all. The People say the Omegas are thicker because of the coaxial movement, but the actual movement's thinner than a Rolex. Uh, oh yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Pierce, that would be a great wedding watch. Um, but like the Aqua Terra movement, or the Seamaster Professional movement, for example, is thinner than the Rolex Submariner movement, but the watch is thicker. And I think maybe it's because they have the display case backs. It's something. It's not the movement. It's not, to me. It's not the coaxial. But yeah, I think the Aqua Terra is thin enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this Seamaster Professional too. Some of their automatic chronographs are pretty thick, but that's, I guess, true for all automatic chronographs.
Right. So speaking of chronographs, I don't recall seeing one in your collection, or do you have one?
Yeah, I've never really found one that I love.
Yeah.
The Speedy, I enjoyed having it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a keeper for me. And yeah, I haven't seen anything. Like, I usually don't get along with chronographs. Like, I think the Daytona is a very ugly watch. It's like the most in-demand watch ever, but for me, it's like fairly ugly. I liked your Zenith that you're parting ways with.
Yeah, it's already gone. It's already gone.
Oh,
yeah.
is it gone? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I going back to that concept of core watches, it wasn't quite there, and I thought I was going to keep it for a very long time. But then I was thinking about selling it, and then the new Blue Bay came out, and it kind of like cemented the deal. The thing, I mean, I don't know if I'm a chrono guy.
They're a little more busy in general, like with some exceptions, like with a few exceptions, that some of the chronos, like, they do it all with the center, all the hands in the center.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a little more busy in general, and yeah, I'm not too into chronos.
But I think, so earlier I mentioned I went to that Watch Buys show. Now the difference between like a Zin chrono, right? They're more like pilot tactical,
right?
Where the Zin was the 38 that I had. You keep it on the alligator strap, it can pass as a dress watch. So like I felt like it was kind of like too dressy, and not that it was delicate, but like wearing around the house and mowing the lawn. I just couldn't wear it, and I wanted to wear it, and so like I think that's the deal with me is I just I need, if I'm gonna go chrono, I need something that's not necessarily beefier is the wrong word. I don't want it doesn't have to be a huge chrono. It just has to be tough, like rugged.
Can I share one more?
Absolutely, yeah.
So this Zin 356, I've always liked this one, and this one I think is tough, and it's a tool watch, and it's got a clean design. It's not super expensive. I've been tempted to pick this one up a lot of times.
So my only beef with this one, the 358 is slightly bigger, and I think it still comes with the Valjoux. Yeah. This one doesn't. This one comes with a Sellita, which is fine.
Okay.
I just have I don't know, and I have no basis for this, but I kind of would not rather have a Sellita chronograph movement yet.
But this one used to have the Valjoux, right? This one, I think,
used to.
If you buy pre-owned, I think you'll find them with Valjoux.
Yeah, I think you could. Yes, absolutely. But brand new, you can't. The 358 still carries the Valjoux.
Let me look at that one.
Yeah,
I don't remember what that looks like.
It's the same thing. It's the same watch, except for it's 2 millimeters bigger.
Oh, yeah, that's even better. I mean, I think that's still well within my comfort size range.
Yeah, and I love how it says Flieger on it. You know what I mean? Like it's such
This is an awesome watch. Yeah. That's one of the few chronographs that I've been really super tempted by.
Yeah, I've going into this German watch kick. There was a brand, and I'm probably going to say it wrong. It's Guinand, is Guinand, and they're let's see if that comes up. Watches, if there you go. Now these guys have some really interesting chronos, very very tough looking watches, and this is something that
which one should I go to here?
Any of these ones, like the Pilot Chrono 42, that duo is actually pretty interesting. Any which one, they're all pretty interesting looking, and like I could, it. Yeah. I've stared at this long enough that I think I could convince myself that if I was going to go chrono and German, Maybe not this exact one, but they have in their lineup some very several that I find very very attractive. And they got the Valjoux 7750. I've always wanted one. I can't tell you why. I just know I've always wanted one because it's a classic.
Yeah.
Um, so and I want to kind of have some watches in my collection that not too many people heard of either.
Yeah.
It may be a bad choice down the line if I want to sell them,
Yeah.
to raise money for something else.
I like the
Um,
that idea too, though. I get
mhm,
that totally. Just wanting
yeah,
to kind of have something a little different, especially if you have a channel like you have, like to be able to show people something that they're not otherwise seeing, right?
right, right.
But also, yeah, just to have something off the beaten path. The other chronograph I've always liked is which it's the standard Portuguese, but they
Oh yeah,
just came out with the in-house movement, and again, I'm not sure this should matter to me, um, but the this one,
wow,
yeah, I just think that's one of the most beautiful. It's dressy for sure. It's the opposite
yeah,
of what you were saying about a rough or versatile watch. Like this is definitely dressy. Um, but this design has been around forever, and I think it's one of the most beautiful watches. And it's I usually think of chronographs as cluttered, but this is like so clean. And
yeah. I could do a two sub dial type chrono.
yeah,
And that definitely releases some of the clutter. Let me see if let me put up some of the messages on the board. I feel like I've
yeah,
ignored
yeah.
some of these guys a little bit here. Um, yeah, I mean, Mega Quartz is fine, man. I mean,
I've seen some really eye-catching ones lately. I can't really think of what they were though. Um,
Zenith Movement is gorgeous. It is, man. And Chris over at the Watch On, he had the pretty much same exact watch as I did, and we both ended up selling ours. Both of us, it was kind of like a grail. But it's just it just it ticked a lot of the boxes, but not all of them. And then the Blue Bay came, and I'm really a fanatic over the Black Bay 58, as you could probably tell already. Well, I mean, we're coming up on close to an hour, and I really appreciate you coming on. I know you were not really sure how you would do. You did great, man.
thanks.
I knew you were going to be really good at this. You know what I
I,
mean?
I, I was telling you before the show that I'm also didn't sleep last night because I
Yeah,
just started a keto diet. Um, so I don't know if
yeah,
anyone who's watching has tried that, but it's like a weird feeling when you're 2 days into eating no carbs. It's like tossing and turning all night. Um,
really. So now. Do you feel any fatigue or?
yeah, yesterday I felt like I had almost like flu-like symptoms, and they call it keto flu. But it's a weird kind of energy. Like it's almost like the way I look at it is, your body you probably have high adrenaline levels because your brain, you're wired to be like looking for food when you
Yeah,
have that kind of fuel switch,
yeah, yeah,
Um, so it's like you're trying to sleep, but your adrenaline levels are just pumped.
yeah,
And I think the flu, a lot of that is because you're like you get low on things like sodium and potassium when you
yeah.
first switch to low carb.
Right.
Um, so anyway, but it's a weird feeling. But I've done this before, and 3 or 4 days into it, you feel
You come out of it. Yeah,
you come out of it as long as you're getting enough salt and potassium, sodium, and magnesium. You come out of it, and you can sleep again. So
yeah.
I picked the wrong day. I'm like a little bit off,
No,
but
man.
yeah, thank you.
You
Appreciate it.
did
It's been
awesome, and
been a lot of fun, and yeah. So I have the worst name for a channel, but if anybody wants to check out my channel, it's Amin Reviews, and my name's Amin. So
yeah.
thanks for having me.
No problem. I have a link. It should be in the description for Amin's YouTube channel. And Amin, keep on making those great videos. I love them.
Appreciate
And
it.
yeah, I mean, whenever you want to do this again, just send me a message.
Sounds good. Sounds
All
good.
right, guys. Good night. Thank you for
Thanks for
watching.
watching. See
All
you.
right.